In this video, we're going to be sharing with you what I think is a pretty nifty little feature here inside Inkscape that I think you could find some various uses for. What we're going to do is we're going to create a design library of a series of designs that we can call up repeatedly as we need them. And I thought this would be a really good use in regards to a patch library of pre-configured patches that we could call up and use whenever we need to. So what we already have here is we have one rectangular patch already created. So you can see here we have our placement stitch, and we have our tack down stitch, and we have our faux marrow. And if I just turn this off, you could see the different colors here of the different stitches. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to create two more patches for our patch library, and then we're going to show you how to create that patch library so you can call it up whenever you need to. So I think it's going to be pretty cool. All right, so we have our marrow stitch, our original marrow stitch file. So let's first of all, we're going to go to our 3-inch patch library, and let's draw out an ellipse that is 3 inches. Okay, so we just have that control key down to constrain to a perfect circle. We're going to make it 3 inches here, and there is our 3-inch circle. Okay, now right now it is an ellipse. So we need to go to path and choose object to path. And now it's no longer an ellipse, it's just a simple circle. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to duplicate the circle. And then we're going to right click on our marrow stitch and choose copy. And then on the duplicate, we're going to apply a path effect. So we're going to just come up here and click here and choose path effects. Okay, and then what type of path effect? Well, we want to do a pattern along a path. We want to paste for our pattern source. We're going to paste what we just copied. And then we're going to choose repeated. And you see that small gap there, okay? So what we want to do is, first of all, change our spacing. So normally I choose -1. Okay, that fills everything in pretty nicely. There is that little bit of a gap, but not too bad. So usually that spacing for this stitch is going to be -1, but you could play with that a little bit if you wanted to. And then I'm going to double click on my path here, and you see this node. If I drag it down, you can see that it doesn't really have any effect on closing this gap. Okay, so what we want to do is there's another option that says repeated but stretched. Boom, and now it will fill in the gap. Okay, so now I'm basically happy with that. So now once we've set our marrow stitch, we can go to path and we can choose object to path. Okay, so now that kind of sets that totally in place. So let's go back over here. So you can see here we have our original path, and then we have the path for our marrow stitch. So now what I'm going to do is take our original path, okay, and I am going to choose path dynamic offset. This is typically how I do it. So path dynamic offset, we're going to stretch it out. So about midway. So that's what was it originally. And so now we're just going to stretch it out midway. So there it is. And now it's up here. That's midway. Okay. So we're going to choose path and choose object to path. And then we're going to duplicate that path. And we're going to do the same thing. Path, dynamic offset. But now we're going to go the other direction. So we're going to come right down to there. Okay. And then we'll choose path, object to path. And then we're going to do it one more time. So we're going to duplicate it. And then we'll choose path, dynamic offset. And we're going to split the difference right there in the middle between the two. Okay. And then finally path, object to path. So now what we need to do is we need to think about, well, what are all those pieces and components? So first of all, out here is the faux marrow. So let's type in faux marrow, enter. So that's the faux marrow. So that is going to be the last thing we want to stitch, not the first thing. So there you go. Faux marrow on the 3-inch patch layer, that's the last thing. So the next thing we want to stitch is our placement stitch. So this becomes placement stitch. Okay. And then the next thing we want to stitch is our tack down stitch. So that's that. Tack down stitch. Okay. And then the last item here is the patch fabric itself. So let's see if we can't select just that. So there it is. So we're going to call this patch fabric laser no sew. Okay. Enter. So that is what our laser, we could choose our laser cut file to cut our patch, and if we wanted to. Okay. So that takes care of the 3-inch patch. Now, the one thing that we haven't done up to this point is that these are not colored. Okay. So let's go back to normal view and let's just show you how we can do this. So what we're going to do here is let's start with our faux marrow. Okay. And let's just come up here, D for our eyedropper, and shift click right here. And what that will do is that will take our outline color of this and make it the same. Pretty cool, huh? So now you can see how all 3 of those are the same color. Well, let's come down here and let's turn off faux marrow down here. And so we know that we have yellow and green. So if we want to do the same, so this is our placement stitch. So we can come over here and hit our D for our eyedropper, and we can shift click. And now you can see we got yellow over here. And then down here is our tack down. So we'll select that and then come over here and hit D for eyedropper, shift click. And now our tack down is green over here. And then our laser cut file, our laser file, will be this blue, and that can just stay that color. That's fine. So let's go ahead and turn on those layers again. And now you can see that those two are the same. Now they don't need to be the same. They could definitely be different. But I was just showing you how you could make it the same if that's what you wanted to do. All right, so just for fun and practice, let's go ahead and repeat the same process. So there's our ellipse tool, control click, and then we'll switch to our selection tool. We'll make this to be 2 inches wide. We have our lock set, so it's 2 inches wide, 2 inches tall. We are going to right click on our marrow stitch. Okay, we're going to change that from an ellipse to a path, duplicate it, control D. Then we will go ahead and do our path effect. So we'll come down here and choose path effects. Then of course we'll choose our pattern along path. We will paste it. We will repeat it in stretched. And so there you go. Our spacing will do -1. And let's zoom in here. Let's take a look at that. Yes, that looks good. So definitely happy with that. So all that's taken care of. So yes, we could go ahead and choose path, object to path at this point. And then we have to do our dynamic offsets. So there is our original path. We'll go to path. We'll choose dynamic offset. We will go ahead and pull that out to right about there. Path, object to path. That gets rid of a dynamic offset. And then we'll reapply and pull it down to right about there or so. That looks good. And then we'll path, object to path, gets rid of the duplicate. And then, oh, you know what we didn't do? We didn't duplicate it. So now let's duplicate it. Now let's come up path, dynamic offset. We forgot to duplicate it when we did the outside one. So there is our outside one. Path, object to path, duplicate it one more time, and then path, dynamic offset. And we need to split the difference here. Okay, and then of course we have to path, object to path, and there we go. So now we have all of our pieces that make up our 2-inch patch. So this is our faux marrow. Okay, so there's the faux marrow. Of course, we do know that that is going to rise to the top. Okay, so that's that. And then our next piece we need is our placement stitch. So that is our outside stitch. So let's change the name of that, placement stitch. Okay, and then our next piece, this is our tack down stitch. And then lastly, this is going to be our patch fabric laser no-sew. So what I would do then, I would save that single path out as an SVG all by itself. I could take this to the laser, cut my patch fabric to size, and we are good to go. Okay. Now what we do need to do, of course, is we need to change our coloring. So let's start with our faux marrow. And let's come in here, D for our eyedropper, shift click to give it that kind of salmon pink color. And then we can turn off the visibility there. And we could even do that on our other one. And then we can go ahead and take our tack down, our placement stitch rather, right there, our outside one. And then, of course, D for eyedropper, shift click. That takes care of that. And then we'll click our inside line here. There's our inside line, and we will come in here. Actually, that one we don't have to change at all. That's already green, but our middle one then, we need to select our middle one, which is our patch fabric laser. Eyedropper right here, shift click, and now you can see that that is in the same order as this. Green is on the inside, blue, yellow. Okay, so that takes care of that. So we can turn those on, the visibility back on our faux marrow borders. And now those are all taken care of. So let's just go ahead and hit this. Let's hit File, Save As, and we're going to save it to our desktop, and let's call it Patch Lib 1. Okay, something like that. Patch Lib 1. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to create our design library. And there's a very specific way that we have to go about doing this. So let me show you how to do this. So first things first, we're going to select our rectangle piece. Now we've already created that as a group. I'm going to right click and choose Object Properties. And we need to give this a title. Okay. So this is 4 by 1.5 rect. We'll call it rect for rectangle, okay? And then we do need to click on set. Okay, so set, okay? And then what we need to do is, let's go ahead and click on the little marrow guy, just for fun. And for the title, we will call it marrow and set. Okay, now this, we can't actually, you can see here, it does not give us any options to add a title because we did not group this. So we do need to group it. So let's hit Control G, that groups it, and now we're able to give it a title. So now we'll call it 3-inch circle. Okay, something like that. And hit set. And then same thing here. This one here, we have to group it first, then we can give it a title, and then we'll call it 2-inch circle. Okay, and hit set. So what did we call this one? 3-inch. Oh, okay. We just named it. Let's just do it this way then. Let's not spell out inches. Let's just use the inch symbol and hit set. Okay. So now you can see here for the title for our 4.4 by 1.5 rectangle, we have our 3-inch circle and our 2-inch circle and our marrow. Okay? Excellent. So all that's ready to go. Now we're ready to create our library. So how do we do that? Well, first things we need to do is come over here to Symbols. Now, if you don't see your little heart, you can click the down arrow and choose Symbols. Okay, now you can see here I already have a previous one that I was working on. But what we want to do is we want to go to current document. Okay, so this is our current document. So what we're going to do here is we are going to select this rectangle here, and we're going to click on plus. Okay, and you can see what it does is it adds the 4 by 1.5 rect. Okay, and if we click on this, I guess let's do 2-inch first, and then we'll do 3-inch, and then we will do marrow. Okay, just so we have a ball. Okay, so that now we have all of those symbols specified. So if I hit File, and we're going to choose Save again. Remember, we're doing patch lib1. So File, Save. Okay, so now we've resaved that SVG file. So now let's go ahead and let's minimize that. Here's patchlib1 SVG. So we're going to right click on that and choose copy. That's just going to copy it to the clipboard, because now what we're going to do is we're going to come up to edit and choose preferences. And then we're going to go to system options here, and you'll see this user symbols, and we're going to click open folder. And we're going to see we have patch shapes 11 in there already, but we're going to right click and choose paste. And so you see here it says patchlib1.svg. Okay, so now we can close that, close that. Let's create a new document. And now we can go ahead and begin our work. So let's just say, for example, I wanted to create a 3-inch patch. I know I want a 3-inch patch, but I'm going to bring in my patch, and then we're going to design our logo on top of our patch. So what we would do is go to our symbols. Remember, there's our heart, but we could also use our down arrow to access symbols. And you can see here it says current document. There are no symbols in this document. So we're going to go to the symbol library that we just created. So you can see right down here, we should see patchlib1. And now we have all of our designs that we created and added to this particular library. So now if I want to create a 3-inch circle patch, I just drag and drop. Boom. There it is. Okay. There is my patch. Now, when we're working with symbols like this, there is one more thing that we need to do, because if we go over to layers here, you can see that I can't actually modify this in any way. This is just kind of one symbol. So I cannot modify this. So what I need to do is just come up here to the file menu. I say file, I mean the edit menu, and choose clone. And we're going to do this right here. Unlock this clone. And so when I choose that option, then you'll see I have my original options in here. So I have my placement stitch, my tack down stitch, my SVG outline for my laser file, and then the faux marrow. And of course we could turn these things on and off, and you can see, you can look at it and see exactly what all we have in that original library. And so this, I would probably, I don't know, I guess this is already a layer, so maybe I would just move that up and call this 3-inch patch. So that is all of my 3-inch patch elements, and then we could move this up. Okay, and this, I think, it really technically is a group, where this is a path, or a layer rather, but then we would call this logo, and that's where we would actually design the logo and leave this 3-inch patch group just like it is by itself here. Okay, so we don't need to modify any of this. We just need to modify our new logo design that we're going to put in there. So pretty cool, nifty stuff, being able to create your own design library that you could use again and again and again. And just think of the different things you could create, like monogram frames and, different patch sizes. There's all kinds of things that we could do. And if I add pre-digitized patch layouts, I could just replace that one file in my user directory, and then it would just keep adding to uh, adding to our symbols, and we still maintain that one file. So that's all there is to that. I hope that you found that interesting and useful for future design work. I think you'll find that be pretty useful to be able to access uh, pre-digitized designs in their entirety very quickly and easily. Thanks for watching.